The Underdog Podcast. It's your host T. Lee and my co-host Jack Cowden will be live today as usual.
Was pulling up, they acting like they couldn't see me. Now she wanna clean me up like a squeegee. I told her that's on me, baby, like yellow BZ. With the peanut butter tear like a Reese.
He's gonna persevere through all the obstacles. Get it done. That's the underdog.
They don't forget the underdog when they see me. I hit them with the John Cena, they can see me.
You may overlook this person, but the underdog is the one who's gonna put in the work.
It's over, you know? Because you have to lose to win. Whether you think losing is a big event.
Out of mind. All I'm saying, just be careful who you idolize. I'm kicking these scriptures just before the fame. Ain't no cap in my words, I go against the grain.
So I always believed in life. I took so many risks to make this thing happen. You know what I mean?
I'm always working, bro. Like I said, I'm energy driven. Underdog can put you on your ass. The underdog can put you on game. The underdog can show you something that you didn't know.
Can't go down. All you can do is go up. So are you gonna stay where you at, or are you gonna move up?
Feel the bangs. Feel the bangs.
He said he's nervous. This is his first time doing it.
Cut her ass off if she could I can reread.
Yo, what's going on, good people? It's your host Fleetwood JR, and this
I'm your
is
boy Slot, man.
and this is the Underdawgs Podcast. We back at it again, man. The most known unknown will realize. And most deaf, man, we got a special guest in the building today. This is season 3, episode 22, Above and Beyond, featuring artistic genius, Atlanta native Eugene Byrd, founder of Future Dead Artist and operator of Future Gallery. Nah, man, how you feeling today, brother?
Bro, I'm feeling groovy, bro. Gonna get ready to head to the studio in a second, man. I'm gonna go pick up swag, bro. We got this big studio session we're gonna get ready to go to.
Okay, that's what's up, man. Still trying to soak in last weekend, man. We had an event in Orlando, Florida.
Yeah.
It was amazing, man. Shout out to Apex Couture, and Winging It
definitely.
Hood Celebrity Space Tournament. It was definitely good vibes, man. All our people in one building, moving accordingly, positive vibes, black excellence, man. Most
Definitely. For everybody that ain't even know, man, make sure y'all go to Tubi, bro, and go check out my guy Winging It. He got a whole season of it, man. He got Winging It 2 coming out soon, coming on Tubi as well.
Season 2.
Yeah, man.
Check
that out, man.
Y'all support these black directors and black movements going on. Speaking of black movements, man, we're going to go ahead and bring the guest in right now. This is Eugene Byrd, everybody. Feel me?
What's up?
What's going on, brother?
I'm good. Happy to be here.
Most
I appreciate
definitely.
you guys for having me.
Most definitely. It's an honor to have you on, man. Definitely appreciate you sending the invite. This is what it's about right here, uplifting each other and giving our people their flowers they deserve,
For sure. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt.
So, like I was saying, the CEO and the founder of Future Dead Artists, the artistic, man himself. I want to read one of your quotes that I also came by, is I want my art to provoke emotion. I want the viewer to sit within my art. I want it to stick with you,
Yeah.
What was the feeling when you was writing that out? What's the overall vision of, your artistic expression?
Yeah, that's a good quote to pull out, because that's definitely the mission, and that's kind of what I aim for, like every piece that I do. And emotion is definitely at the root of it, because it was created out of emotion, like something that I was feeling or something that I saw that spoke to me in a way that, and so I want to convey that through the canvas into the viewer. And it's also, the more and more that I create and the older I get, it's even more important, because I'm getting more and more vulnerable within the art. And as I'm learning things in life, I want to pass that down to the viewer. And, and emotion is what makes us us. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
Right.
So, as we push the importance of knowing ourselves, who is Eugene Byrd as a person outside of what you do?
Yeah, that changes at times, which is crazy, because hopefully you want to constantly keep evolving. and kind of even who I was like several years ago, I'm a different person now. I almost feel like I done lived a couple of different lifetimes. So,
Right.
but right now, like, and I can't even at this point, I can't even separate like what I do in the artist from who I am, because it really is becoming 100% like at the core of everything that I am and do. All goes back to art, but in the essential, but to kind of answer the question as best as possible, I mean, honestly, I feel like I'm still the same little boy that I always been. Like, kind of like a Midwest kid, like still
Yeah.
chasing the dream and still got this like thing in my heart of exploring. And whether that's exploring like physically, like the land, or exploring my mental as much as possible. And I'm a man, like, and at the core, like, I think we got to really just get besides ourselves and and just kind of say like, I am just a man, and I'm trying to do the best that I can. And every day, I'm just walking one foot in front of the other. So yeah,
Right.
I'm definitely a man and a black man and an artist, but I'm just someone who's just kind of still on that journey of evolving who I am, and just trying to be the best me.
Most definitely. So from Wichita, Kansas,
Yeah.
like from your perspective, what was it like growing up there in Kansas City?
Well, growing up in Kansas and Wichita, Kansas is honestly like it was a good place to be raised, because I kind of feel like I'm just a country boy, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I do like those Midwest values, kind of coming up in like blue collar, and Midwest definitely got some
Hmm.
good people. But initially, I always felt like I was a foreigner in my own land, because I kind of felt like what I wanted to do, it wasn't a lot of outlets for it. Because I
Yeah.
always knew I wanted to do something creative, so I kind of always felt like almost like an alien in that region. I always kind of picture myself either in the South or up north in New York or something.
Yeah.
But as you get older, I kind of really appreciate my lineage and where I'm from, and with my parents and my dad being from Tulsa, Oklahoma,
Yeah.
and my mother from Okmulgee, Oklahoma, with the Native history, and also just learning
Hmm.
about the contributions that Kansas has done for the civil rights movement when everyone wants to focus on the South, because the schools were desegregated through Topeka, Kansas, through the board of it, the Brown versus the Board of Education,
Yeah.
and like Gordon Parks is from Kansas. When I started to see all these good people from Kansas, like Langston Hughes is from Kansas, that started the Harlem Renaissance, and then it starts to make sense, and I'm like, okay, I was born in the right place.
Yeah.
But it also gave me a different perspective to have these influences from the West Coast, the East Coast, the South, up north, without uh, being biased, as sometimes as some people from certain regions are. I was definitely open to all those influences globally. I think that definitely helped me to become who I am.
Yeah. Now you definitely you mentioned Tulsa, Oklahoma as well. Like just to be a part of like your lineage to come from there, because that's the prestigious Black Wall Street, so like
Yeah.
early on being young, like is that something that like kind of stuck out to you as well, knowing that a lot of our people was thriving and everything from there?
Yeah, for sure. And again, like, you really, as you get older, you kind of start to see how everything does make sense and how there is no coincidences. And what it really because it was a prestigious Black Wall Street back then,
Hmm.
but really the image that you see in Black Tulsa now, it is not prestigious.
Right.
Like, they still suffering, and it's almost they still got the thumb on the Black community out there, not letting them
Hmm.
grow. And a lot of the people who kind of gave up on the area and moved. So what it did tell me that we are the possibility of us thriving within our own community is definitely there,
Oh
but
yeah.
we also got opposition systematically that is trying to not make that possible. Like, it is not
Hmm.
made up. This is for real. And
Right.
it also kind of instilled in me, and this is in hindsight, an independence mind state to not depend on the government, to not depend on a proper banking system. It
That
kind of
part.
instilled me to get it on my own.
Yeah,
And so it even
Hmm.
yeah.
reflects in the way I
That's
do
how.
my art.
Yeah, Yeah, that's how I feel about everything, bro. It's like we sit back and just wait to be asked to do something.
Mm-hmm.
All we just don't do it as a whole. Like you said, on that blueprint. Like we know the blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I feel it, so it's just being organized. You know, like you say, we know the blueprint, but it's just putting it together
Right.
and actually attacking.
Yeah, and that's the thing that some communities grow up, some black kids grow up where they never even that don't know about some of these rich black communities, and they might think that
Mm-hmm.
it's impossible. So I was definitely
Right.
fortunate to know that it was possible, and it is possible. So they, it's important to keep letting history be known, so kids don't grow up not having a positive thing to
Right.
look at, and look beyond your own
Exactly.
neighborhood, your own community.
Yeah. Yeah. I like how you doing that, especially with your art and everything. Like, because right now, like in hindsight, looking forward with the next generation, they're trying to take everything out of it, where it's like, we're not going to let you even know about this. This is just the only way. Because a kid's mind, they only know what is taught to them or what is seen. So it's like,
Yeah,
let's just take this completely out the curriculum or put this on them instead.
yeah, yeah, for
Right.
sure.
So
Yeah.
who was the person that helped mold you into the man you are today?
Man, my mama, man. I can't even front. And a lot of black men, I guess people in general, owe a lot to their mothers, if they're fortunate enough. But definitely my mom.
Yeah.
My mom and a lot of my other family and relatives. And even though I had male influences in my life, I had my father, I had uncles. It was a lot of the women in my family that kind
Yeah.
of really at least made me comfortable even enough to be me and to kind of do things a little abnormal than the rest. They always encouraged me to kind of follow my path, uh, and just instilling that belief, that I think sometimes a woman puts in, can like a female family member can kind of put in you. You know what I'm saying? Just that it'll be all right, baby type of mentality. So my moral compass was always my mother for majority of my life, honestly, for my whole life. And she always championed my art because she was always had a creative mind herself.
Yeah.
So as me growing up doing art, it was always encouraged in my family. But when sometimes families try to deter their kids from a creative path, my mom
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
steered me in that direction.
Yeah,
Uh,
shoot your dreams down and tell you what you can't do.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not good enough. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, but my
Mhm.
mom, she always believed in my art before I did, honestly.
Yeah.
So I owe everything to my mother for sure.
What's
Yeah.
up?
So with your mom and what I'm saying, your family helping you mold you to become who you are, like what keeps you inspired doing your art? Like what what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Motivates you, what I'm saying, when you create your art.
man, I kind of settled on a while ago. Like when I started to know who I was, I really had to say, you're an artist and this is what you do. Like, this is the thing, this is God's gift to you. This is what you need to do. So once I got to that point and said, all right, I tried sports, I tried music. None of that shit worked out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like, okay, work with this. So once I kind of figured that out, that
Right.
put some gas in my tank. And then other than that, like what keeps me going is it's like an ambition, like to keep outdoing myself and to keep getting better and better. And it's also to keep proving even myself. I keep surprising myself. And but then nothing's always good enough. So then next time
Mhm.
when you reach something, an accomplishment, that accomplishment that was so unattainable a couple years ago is no longer good anymore. So I'm always like chasing and trying to get better and get better. And
Right.
it's like life too. Like as long as I'm living and my eyes are open and my ears are and my ears are in tune, there's no shortage of inspiration out here in the world,
Right.
unless you just
Right.
closed off to it. So I'm constantly getting inspired and I'm constantly getting pushed and there's a bunch of narratives that I want to get out. So it's like this constant thing, you know. So the inspiration is always there, and then ain't no better inspiration than money, to tell you the truth. You know, this is something that we talk about. Yeah, you know, like,
Straight up.
if you decide to make your living just like if y'all doing a podcast and you say this is all I really want to do, that's going to drive you to do more.
Exactly.
And especially when I got, you know, my daughter to take care of, so it's like I can't be playing around, you know. So
Definitely.
so there's that inspiration of just pure doing it, and then there's that survival thing that kicks in, and like this cannot fail. You know what I'm saying? It cannot fail.
I kind of love that. You know what I'm saying? I love your answer too, because it's like it's so many, you know, people rapping or playing ball, some type of sports, you know, but you even though you probably tried it, like you said, man, you sat back and you found your purpose with this art. You know what I mean? And we need more black artists out here, and especially dope ones like you, bro. So I mean, I'm with it, bro. Keep going, man.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, we need our, you know, our black artists and melanated artists out here. We need them to be in the textbook and put up there the same way they do Picasso and teach the same, you know. Like we need them definitely mentioned, man. So what are some key principles in life you always held on to that stuck with you early on, you know, growing up? Like what's something you just kept with you along the way, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, there's a lot of things at different times, but I know one of the principles is it's just kind of coming down to that, to trying to like really trying to be a man, you know what I mean? And like, that means like trying to honor your word, kind of honor your commitments, kind of being able to follow through, kind of being dependable, and I just know this is a relationship game. Like I need other people, like you guys, to fuck with me. I need other people to kind of talk me up, and it becomes because it goes back to that stand up type of mentality. And even I can't say I'm not perfect in that, but that's definitely those principles are important, you know. And these are the things that your family kind of taught you. Like it all goes back to kind of being like simplifying things, and I think a lot of times we overcomplicate shit. And so that's one thing I always try to do. And also, like, you know, like I try to be vocal and about what I want, like, and also like try to have better communication, because that's something that also, like, you know, like the closed mouth don't get fed type of mentality. And you know, you got to speak up and know that what you're saying is valuable, and constantly, like, you know, those are kind of some of the principal things. I can't think of something like particular, like a mantra. I'm trying to think, but there are some of those that I kind of stand on too. But at the core, that's what it really is. It's like just trying to like follow through. You know what I'm saying? Which is very difficult to do. And it's, but at the, you know, I just know there's important things that come with that, and not really just focusing on the now. And and
it takes a lot of discipline too for all that too. You know what I
mean? Yeah, and that's what art takes in general to me. Like this is a discipline. Like for real. Like this is a life path. This isn't just like hop in and hop out. Like I've dedicated my whole damn life to this, you know. And
for real.
And so like that goes to that level of commitment that I try to go within my personal life. But I tell you, like I'm not perfect though. Like I have a lot of flaws, and but also at the same time, like that maturity is like being okay with my flaws and being and being able to have a drink with my demons. You know what I'm saying? And like, like for real about that shit. Like it's not that I'm settling, but I also understand like
you acknowledge it. Like I know this about myself, rather than just trying to camouflage it and put mask it just to not deal with it.
Yeah, and I ain't got to put it all out there, like, but at the same time, like, I know it is, like, because it's depressing to me. Like, when I was at a stage where sometimes my shortcomings, I would always try to, like, you having, like, a New Year resolution type mentality, the whole goal is to focus on what you're doing weak at or what you need to do better at. That's depressing. It's like let me focus on my strengths. Like, let me focus on my strengths and make those even stronger. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? So I kind of flipped that switch, and I tell you, sometimes it can be a lonely path because you're on that path of self-discovery, which sometimes can ruin your relationships with other people.
Oh yeah,
Oh man, yeah, for real.
I know that was a
that's
roundabout
deep.
answer, though.
Nah.
That
It
was
was
yeah,
it was
that
deep,
was
bro. It
heated.
was deep.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we be on, man. We need them deep conversations, man. So like, all right, I want to say also, I highly respect that you are using your ancestry of having native lineage to shed light on the indigenous people. You know, may I ask which tribe your roots associated with?
uh, Sioux Indian and also Creek in Oklahoma, out in Okmulgee,
Mhm.
Oklahoma, like where that's a lot from my mother's bloodline, and where some of my family was actually born on the reservation. Uh,
Yeah.
So it is important, and I think it's like one of those things as Black people, and especially as personally me growing up, but I think a lot
Mhm.
of Black people that we have this like identity crisis
Yeah.
where our system because of slavery. Like a lot of times we can't go back too far with our
Right.
family records, so we always like had this identity crisis.
Yeah.
But I know in my family, like the native side is there, but it's still weird because there's racism on the reservations and stuff, like because everybody's a victim of systematic racism.
Yeah.
And then but it's still important for me to talk that up because there's a lot of Black natives, and then also I also got to understand like I consider myself like African born in America and Native American, but at the same time I do understand that I'm just Black American as well.
Right.
And then so I started to really have more pride in America. You know what I'm saying? So like my native history like definitely makes me feel entitled here in this country, but also as a Black person, I should feel entitled. Because we literally did build this shit. And
Mhm.
we were here before. We didn't only get here through slavery. There was already Black people here before the slave trade. So once we started to know more of our history, I really want to flip that switch on that white privilege shit because we should have Black privilege. Like we should be walking around like this is our shit.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of times as Black Americans, we almost treat this. I think we treat the country as if we're home renters, you know,
A
and
third
not
class citizen.
yeah,
Hmm.
like we're home. Like if you rent a home, it's different than when you own that home.
Yeah.
You treat that shit completely different. So we're treating this country like we're home renters when like, nah, this is our shit.
Yeah.
We have to be involved in every step of the process because we literally did build it. But they had the
Yeah.
narrative for so long. So I
I just
champion,
feel like
uh,
I just feel like in that situation, it's up to us as like individuals at home to teach our kids who we really are. You know
mm-hmm,
what I mean? Because we just put them in schools and they whitewash our history, and we just go off of
yeah,
what they tell us. You know
for
what I
sure.
mean? They the enemy. They the enemies, and it's like okay,
Yeah,
everybody's agreeing with what the enemy say, so that's what it is. You feel
yeah,
me? And it's like we need to do better as a whole to teach our kids that hey, look, man, we got native in our family. Your
mm,
great grandma is this from this tribe. They'll look into that type of stuff, but they
yeah,
just
for
go off of
sure.
what the schools say.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And they had control of the narrative for so long. So
Yeah.
that's what things like social media, they lost control of the narrative.
Oh
Like,
yeah, they
yeah,
definitely they're
yeah.
trying to
So,
hold on to it so much, but it's like
mhm.
information that was already there is actually getting out. You know how they used to say the term before social media, if you want, you don't want somebody to know something, put it in the book.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
it's like how many people are actually reading and looking for this information. But social media
Exactly.
now is like, hey, look at these laws, or hey, pay attention to these certain people with like reclassification. Like a
Yeah.
lot of that identity crisis came from reclassifying people,
Yeah.
and like I say, I'm not how they say prejudice. Everybody's prejudiced in a way, but racism is really resources. Who
Mm,
Hello.
controls what? Who
mm,
controls the money? Who decides, like you say, the educational system?
yeah.
Where these kids grow up at. Like a lot of that would be considered, racism, where our people, because of this whole identity crisis, is like, what do we really own on this land? What stuff do we really have control of? Do we have control of the media? Like, are we the ones that decide, you know, what these kids see on TV or what these, you know, stuff like that. So it's definitely a lot going on, but like my own co-host said, it's up to the individuals. We have to take back control, you know.
Yeah, for sure, and it's happening in small ways. But yeah, and even when, you know, like that quote you said, if you want to hide something, put it in the book.
Right.
But also, like, if our communities didn't even have adequate libraries and they didn't even have the books even there at all, like, so now it is completely different. That, like, for our Black community, I'm always big on now, like, us taking away the excuses, and now it is like looking at us and holding ourselves accountable and holding, especially as parents, like you really got to be accountable to what you're teaching your kids. Like that shit, like we know the motherfucker, we know what the school go teach them, and go ahead and learn that shit too. But then you go get this second education at home, and we now that's our responsibility, because, you know, like even growing up, we try to say like they don't teach us how to balance a checkbook in school and all this stuff, and they don't. But also, when my mom and dad was balancing checkbooks every day on the table, and if I try to ask about it, that other generation was like, they didn't talk about money and don't talk about, that's grown folk business type of mentality. So now when we have kids, now talk to your kids about, you know.
You know what's so funny about that too, bro? Like, everybody don't know this, bro. But the credit system came out in 1989. So if you were a 90s baby and you got parents, they was trying to figure out the credit system in the 90s still. So they couldn't teach their kids about credit because it just came out.
Yeah, for sure.
So you know what I mean? And credit is, we all know, bro. We grown. Credit is everything in America.
Yeah.
You know, so now I think in our generation now, it's on us to teach our kids about credit. You know what I mean? Even if you never got taught it and you kind of get out here and you learn it, you got to pass it down to your kids, because you don't want your kids to go through what you went through with this credit system.
Exactly. And now that you know, it's kind of easy to set up your kids. Like you start them off right at the beginning, get their credit score like up real quick, and it is true. Like that's why also sometimes we can't be so hard on our parents, and like sometimes people always want to be like, you didn't do me that, like you didn't know no better. Like like my dad couldn't teach me how to swim because he couldn't go to a public pool. They still had segregation at pools. So how the hell you go teach me how to swim and he couldn't learn how to swim?
Right.
You know, but now since I can go to pools, or even if I can't teach my daughter how to swim, I need to have someone else teach her how to swim. You know, so like now, even though we still got a lot of those same racial barriers, like now, like it is like the ownership on us is way more important, because back in the day, like our parents, our grandfathers definitely couldn't get life insurance. We couldn't build no generational wealth. Now, if you're like 20 something and you got a kid, you ain't got no excuse not to have no life insurance policy for your seed. You know what I'm saying? Because that is a way that they've been building wealth for years, like off your death. You know, like so like I got a lot of policies on. Like I'm trying to get like $500,000 for my daughter when I die. Like what do you think your life is worth? You know what I'm saying? I'm literally trying to get a $500,000 policy for her, because unfortunately that's probably the only time I'm gonna be able to leave her that type of money. So like all of that stuff is super important. And honestly, like some of these things are low key. Like I talk about these within the art too. Like and a deeper conversations happen when people are in front of the paintings. But these are things that I do kind of talk about within my art, because as I'm learning something, I want to pass that along in my language is visual form, and it's through the art.
Most definitely, man. So to nail it in the coffin, how important is it for our people to preserve the culture? Like, not by the way society views us, but to create our own identity that goes against every stereotype basically put against us. You know, because the world sees us as they paint the stereotype. You know, all the other countries looking at us in one way, but it's like, you know, they only see what they show them, not what we show them, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it is important to preserve our culture and to control the narrative, and but also it's like, who determines what that is though? And sometimes even in our own community, there's parts of our culture that we're not proud of that we try to exclude, that still has to be talked about. And I think that's everybody's responsibility. And also, like, at the same time, like, especially when I paint, like, I'm to the point, like, I don't, I don't give a damn about what the perception of what white person or another person in another country thinks about our culture. What I'm concerned about is what the hell we think about our own damn culture. And how, so when I'm painting, I'm speaking to us. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think there is some art that's definitely like a reaction to the white man. And it's even like a, response to something that somebody white did. I'm not doing that type of art. Like, the art that I want to do and that I'm striving to do is a direct line of communication to us. And they can benefit and learn from it. But I'm really on, like, what do we think about our culture and what do we think is preserving and what is important 50 years from now about what's going on today. Because I think, like, artists and creators and even content creators, which is super valuable. And I think we're really starting to understand, like, the value of content. What I'm thinking about, like, 60 years from now, as an artist, I'm like a historian. You know what I'm saying? Like, I am doing a record keeping of what's happening during my current lifetime. So, like, 50 years or 100 years from now, you can look back and say, okay, this is what the hell was going on in 2022 and 2023 from my perspective. Because that's super important. That's why, like, I'm trying to do things that's current. I'm not trying to keep going back into the 60s and 70s when I wasn't born. I'm trying to deal with these current issues because I think it's all important. And I think that street element is important because it's our economics. I believe that we took the economic and ran with it, and a lot of good things and bad things came up out of it, but it's all part of systematic racism, that those are the opportunities that we are afforded. Those things should be represented in the fine art. And if you look at fine art, a lot of times those things aren't there. So it is very important to control our culture and to understand what that is. And also, like, take ownership of knowledge, because we've been so broken from our African culture, and we need to look at our culture and see how it's all intertwined and get more pride in our real homeland, and also understand that we have created a whole new another lineage of that culture with this whole Black American thing, and taking ownership of that. And because they take it and they buy it and they own it, from our music. You look at the masters and who owns stuff. A lot of times it's the white people. They are gobbling up our culture, and it's like, do we value our culture or not? Like,
they making money from us.
Yeah, exactly. And it goes directly from the art too. Like, are we out here buying this art and not getting mad when you see someone that don't look at us flipping a Basquiat for $100 million? And we like, his family didn't get no money, and then it's all just getting paid. But you realize, like, that Basquiat, they bought that shit in the 80s, late 80s, which ain't too long ago, for 15 grand. But when we see a piece now for like 10 or 15 grand, we're like, oh my God, that's like crazy. But you understand that shit flipped for $100 million, like 30 years from now. So, like, we got to start valuing our culture and putting our money where our mouth is. So, you know, I'm biased, of course, because I'm an artist. I talk about that all the time. But it goes to, like, companies like backing Black authors, from more Black movie producers, and really controlling our culture. And then also, I'm talking about content creation, but our culture is so much more, too, like, than the entertaining athletics stuff that they gear us to. Like, that's what I'm saying. We got to really define what really is our culture. But our culture is honestly American culture, because, like, if you look at anything in this country, like, our hands is on everything. So the real question is, because I just think Black culture is everything. What the question is that no one has an answer to is, what the hell is white culture? Because I don't even know.
Well, my co-host put me on game. Hey,
That's a whole nother thing.
white and black only exist in America, you know, as far as the
Yeah,
terminology. But
yeah,
white people really just Europeans. When you think
yeah.
hindsight, they're just bringing their culture from their land onto a new land and trying to force it on the people that was already inhabiting it, you know. So
But I don't even know
So
what that
they
culture is.
they culture is to colonize
yeah,
Exactly. That culture is to
yeah.
take. I mean,
and
honestly,
and,
They
like
and still, yeah.
it really is. So like, it really makes them look like the more and more we know their culture, it makes
yeah,
them say like, okay, what is y'all real contributions to y'all to
yeah.
the culture other
And
than like
Yeah.
in
tyranny?
present, even in present time, when you look at a lot of inventors and everything, when you find out like, well, wait, a black person really did this, but they just put their name on it or went and trademarked it or whatever. But we know who
Yeah.
he did the real work at the end of the day, you know. But,
Yeah, it's like black
Nah,
and Asian culture like contributed so much like to
yeah,
the world and still to the
nah. I really love your perspective though, for real, because at the end of the day, a picture is worth 1,000 words.
hmm
You know what I mean? So when someone looks at your art 30, 40, 50, 60 years down the road, they gonna look like you say, oh, this was what's going on in 2020, 22, 23, 24,
hmm
25. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, when you think about it, that's like going back and looking at the hieroglyphics of the Egyptians.
Exactly. It really is.
You
hmm
know,
Starting
yeah,
you
yeah,
see what they was doing and what they was had going on around that time. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Just by looking at the pictures,
yeah.
hmm
and that's so powerful, bro. Because
yeah.
we need that type of thing. And
And that's when I say
when
like
it,
hmm
we gotta. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean
It's
to
a
cut you off.
necessity.
nah, yeah, yeah, and then like even with hip hop is more than just rapping.
hmm
Because if you think about it, the birth of hip hop, it had to do with uh beatboxing,
Yeah, a
doing
lot of stuff,
graffiti,
break dancing.
pop
Yeah,
locking, break
yeah,
dance, all that type of stuff. It was tied into hip hop. And I think with what you doing, being an artist, that's hip hop in a sense too, because you kind of still doing that too. You don't gotta be no artist as far as being a poet or rapping on a beat.
yeah.
You
They
still
all
an artist
tied
when you do your
together.
thing. Yeah,
It's
everything
a
come together.
it's a
Yeah,
creative mind, bro. It's just like,
Yeah.
you know, as an artist, like, okay, I'm an artist, I do music, but I admire the creative mind. I admire the art because, like, looking at the art, it speaks to me like how music do, like how instrumental will or feel. I can sit there and look at a painting and really just like break everything down on basically from my perspective.
Uh,
You know, it's like hearing a song but seeing it visually.
yeah. And it's
Really,
and hip hop raised me, you know, and hip hop is very important to my art and to the man that I am. Like hip hop was so important to me coming up because it really was the voice. Like hip hop is almost like an uncle to me because like a lot of the black pride and even like knowing some of the black names to
hmm
know who to read. I got that from hip hop. I mean, like from the hip hop that I grew up. You know, I'm 45, so like the hip hop growing up when I was listening to it, there was a lot of black pride within that, and a lot of knowledge of self type talk, and there's a lot of different styles and a lot of different flavors. So hip hop was so important to me, and it's laced throughout my art. Like hip
yeah,
hop is definitely like the backbone of everything, and then the drums is just the backbone of Africa. We've literally been communicating with drums for hundreds of years. So like all of
uh,
that is just part of our DNA. So like the hip hop is. I model even Future Dead artists is modeled off of like Boot Camp Click and like Wu Tang and Native Tongue. It's like even doing a collective was inspired by hip hop. So like everything I do is hip hop based,
yeah,
and that's when I say like us acknowledging like what is the culture and what is we leaving behind, and then that's something like with hip hop, like we really focus on one aspect of the creative expression, not one, but we lean on very few avenues for our creative expression. A lot of it is pain and grief, money,
hmm
uh, sex. There's not just that regular just joy expressed a lot of times. A lot of times in our community, that's still not really looked at
or
positively.
not
It's like,
even love too. They don't talk
yeah,
about
it's
love.
all
yeah. That
it's all
love is,
yeah.
yeah,
That's what I say when we look back, like what are we really saying? Like
yeah.
that Black people really went through, or what was on our minds. Because if that record that we're leaving, like you say, these foreigners that's looking at our culture, it does kind of look negative. And but now we in a situation that we have more control than ever.
Yeah.
But we're still doing that same shit. So that's why it's like we got to really get a grasp on the culture, and then because what you hear now, like when they say the word culture, is almost used as a negative. Like they're talking about that negative aspect, and I'm like, yeah, that is part of it. But a lot of times when I'm chilling and I wake up, I'm not thinking about the white man got his boot on my neck. I'm not thinking about opposition. I'm not thinking about none of that shit. I'm actually having a good ass day. Like,
right.
You know? I'm like, the sun
real.
is beautiful. Like, look at
Yeah.
the birds.
Right.
I might go out, and then some bullshit might happen with some cop looking at me crazy. But initially, like, that's not on my mind all the time. You know, so like, I need to also talk about other stuff. Like, I'm just really like struggling, like, just trying to be the best fucking man I can be. You know what I'm saying? Or just trying to survive and put some food on my table. Like, it's not all of that. Or sometimes I'm just like joyful. So like, even when I look at my art, I don't even talk about that enough. I got a couple of pieces where I directly like, I'm gonna do a Black man smiling. Like, I looked at my portfolio, hardly no one was smiling. So I did one piece in particular where I said, I have to do a Black man smiling because me and my brothers, we smile all the goddamn time. When we get together, it's toothy smiles. You know, but as soon as we take a picture of that smile, you know, we kind of go in chill mode. But when the camera's on, we seeing all these teeth. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, we have to show that too. Otherwise, what are we even teaching ourselves? Like, when I say ourselves, other Black people when they look back, because we got to get a better control of that. And I think hip hop definitely, because it's so powerful. I definitely want to see more conversations throughout hip hop, and not that it has to be like a whole happy album, but you know, a couple of tracks where it's just like a different vibe here and there. And a couple of vulnerability tracks about, even like, you got artists doing it now, but like more masculine men kind of talking about heartbreak and shit. And
keep it
like
real.
That. Yeah, you know, because you know you love
they
somebody.
They in the studio making a song about I hate her and everything. Get off the mic and be hurt by it. Like,
shit.
All right.
Y'all really like women? It's like, do y'all really like women or what? Because when I like a woman, it's like, yeah, I want to be around her, and it's not just when she's naked. It's like, yo, this is almost like you have a real relationship. That woman gonna be almost like your best friend, and it's like, but the way some of them are speaking is almost like y'all literally don't like women at all.
I don't get it, man. It's like almost like a systematic thing now with hip hop, you know. But now, speaking of fine art, man, you speaking of the pieces, I would like to share your art right now on the screen. So
that's what's up.
Got different pieces right here.
That's some of my new body work at the top.
Yeah, it's dope. I even like how you did it with the women too.
Yeah.
I'm primarily a portraiture artist, but I've been doing a lot of non-portraiture work, and honestly, I'm gonna slow down on painting nudes for a while too.
And that's art, bro. That's it's beautiful, bro. Like, for real.
It is, but it gets you in trouble sometimes.
Yeah, I like how I like the colors you like. You use all the colors too, bro. Like, colors of everything.
Yeah, colors is definitely one of my strong suits, and because I want my art to change the temperature of the room. You know, I don't want to blend into the wall. I want it to stand out in any situation it is.
Like, this is super dope for real, man. Like, then when we say Black excellence, Black art, Black artists, you know what I mean?
Thank you. Honestly, I feel like I always feel like I'm just scratching the surface. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm always like motivated.
That's a good thing, because that sounds like an underdog to me.
I definitely believe in that underdog mentality. And I mean, I am an underdog. Like, you know, coming where I come from. First of all, most of the time, if you're Black, you already the deck is already stacked against you.
Right.
And then pursuing art and being from a city that don't really just hold a lot of weight when you say it out loud, you know.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
But that keeps you honest and keeps you kind of scrappy. And that's the piece I was talking about the smiling. I was like, I just got to have somebody smiling.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yo,
bro.
with the panda one, where exactly is the like the concept with that one? He look like he's somewhere like the buildings are like Times Square a little bit.
But he's in China.
Okay.
I call it panda bearing China. And I'm talking
Yeah.
about how you know humans encroach on animals' habitat
Yeah.
uh, through urban development and stuff. Cause like and again, this is me looking at my book, and I was like, I need to express things that's important to me, and I'm an animal lover, So
Yeah.
I want to also talk about that, and it's also influenced by my daughter. My daughter is definitely an environmentalist, and I think you learn through your children, and uh, it was definitely something that was inspired by my daughter, and also then I'm an animal lover as well.
Nature, man. That's what it's
Bro,
like. Yeah. Gotta
but
leave
you need
nature
to have your
alone.
own, like you really need to have like your own, like all your stuff need to be in the art gallery, bro. Like this is
Oh, we definitely gonna speak
dope,
about
bro.
that because he is the operator of Future Gallery as well.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I think he mean like a museum somewhere.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's what I did.
Most definitely.
Yeah,
Like,
I feel
like,
you. I feel
like,
that. I feel that.
yeah, like
yes, bro.
permanently in there.
Right.
And I ain't
Mm-hmm.
gonna lie, you like artists that like we all got these
Yo,
ambitions,
that's
you know,
dope.
and like
Uptown Warriors. Yeah,
yeah,
that's hard.
yeah. I lived in New Orleans, or I lived in Baton Rouge. When I
Oh
first left
man.
Kansas, I initially went to Baton Rouge and attended Southern University. So Louisiana always kind of has a soft place in my heart because I felt like I kind of grew up there and became a man.
Hey, most definitely. Yeah, we gotta mention that because I thought it was uh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's eugenebird.com. Make sure y'all go check them out.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you. Appreciate you.
Yeah, man. So moving forward, you know, I would like to give my condolences to your loved ones, losing both your sister and your mother. Like, we would like to, use this time for you to give them their flowers as well. Like, what's something about your mother that, you always remember her for that she instilled, with you, like within you?
My mother, man, was a strong woman. I mean, like physically and just just mentally to persevere. From her, like growing up in the orphanage and things she just kind of been through. But my mom told me how to love. She kind of told me like family is everything. Like I definitely grew up in a house that we said I love you like every day. Like like it wasn't like rare. I hear people sometimes like my parents didn't really say not, and I kind of feel for
Yeah.
them, but I never had that. Like we always just said we love you. But she was a strong black woman. Not when you get older, you realize, your parents aren't perfect, but my mother was everything to me. And, her passing definitely affected my life traumatically. And then my sister had the same kind of energy. Like, I'm the youngest, and I had two older sisters, and my sister who passed away was the middle child. Her name is Christiana. And Chrissy was like my best friend. And we came to Atlanta together. So like that's initially what made me even come to Atlanta was the fact
Mm-hmm.
that when I left Louisiana, kind of being young and dumb and kind of messed up, wanted to start over again. And I decided on Atlanta, and my sister was a big part of that. And she
Yeah.
passed away as well. So the things that were the most painful in my life were also the most motivating things for me in my life as well, about the whole life is short type of thing. You got to do
Yeah.
what you want to do now. The whole ain't nothing guaranteed type of sentiment was directly right there in my face.
Yeah.
And I was there and present when both of them passed, which is honestly, it's a blessing that you want to be there. And when like it, honestly, like the way that they passed is, I wouldn't, other than being in the hospital, I definitely don't want to pass in the hospital, and they both did, but they did have a lot of family around.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like it was, you can ask, if I wanted to pass, I would like to have family around my bed. But at the same time, I'm happy I was there, but it was also like, I relived that over and over and over, like
Yeah.
throughout my life, like them taking their last breath. So that's why sometimes the skulls come up in my art, and honestly, subconsciously, that's probably why I even came up with the name Future Dead Artist. I wasn't like these things kind of come into my work a lot, where I'm dealing with my own mortality, and it's also part of my crazy work ethic that I feel like I need to paint, and create while I'm here. Uh, and it also makes me want to have experiences in life and want to meet more people and things. So it really just defined me. And they were very important to my life, and they still are. And their spirit kind of lives on through their children. I'm thankful my sister had a son, uh, but it's just something we all go through in life. Like everyone living past, it's just something we go through. So I accept it, and I accept it even within me passing. But it definitely like made me like it changed me. I can't front. It made me more cold. Like I don't want to like. I really try to be honest in my art and my life, and even with y'all in this interview. Like it definitely changed me for a negative too, and I hate that, and I don't want. So there's some things that I know my mom would really be proud of, and there's some things she probably wouldn't be as proud of. You know what I'm saying? And that's just real. But I cherish the time that I had with them, and I definitely like anybody going through that or got any relationships with family that aren't the best right now. Like you got to put that shit aside. You know what I'm saying? Like if you got people important in your life, you got to value that you can even pick up the phone or go see them, and also just kind of stop the bullshit. Because I would give anything to have a moment with my mother and my sister. You know what I'm saying? So I just always encourage people to just be thankful that you got people around and accept them for their flaws and things of that nature. So, and these are things I kind of talked about in my art too. So anything that I learned through life, I try to convey that visually because that's my way. And then because as a man, and as a black man, honestly, I'd never been taught how to express myself. Like I don't know how to deal with grief. I honestly probably should have got counseling, but I just worked my way through my pain. I just kept being distracted. So these are things that I try to get better with, like in my nephews and anybody else coming after me, and not kind of have some of that male bullshit that I still kind of carry. Because honestly, I didn't know how to express myself. So that's why some things I did negative, I became like a worse person because I just didn't know how to deal with it. And I just dove myself into the work, which is good, but also it's not good also when you got other people around, that need you present. And I'm just trying to not deal with shit by staying active. You know what I mean? So it definitely is a big, like, if you did like a milestone in my life, is those two dates, like it's almost like a BC before death, after death in my life that I got some positive from, but also I took some of the negative from those situations, and these are things I'm gonna be dealing with forever. But their energy and their light was so great that uh, they it's anything that came from it, positive or negative, is just worth it all because I I've really got to champion their legacies, like especially my mom, but also at the same time, I just can't get lost in it. If you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Bro, like before we even continue, bro, I really appreciate your answer and for you to open up to us on the Underdog podcast. I really felt everything you just said.
No
'Cause
doubt.
that's how I am too, in a sense.
Mm,
And like just losing people close to you kind of get you
Yeah,
there.
man.
And as men, it's hard for us to open up to
mm.
that type of stuff, especially in
Yeah.
this society.
Yeah, it is.
So yeah, and then like a lot of us, like you say, man, we trying
We
to hide that shit, bro.
keep it pushing and
Yeah,
act like it ain't, and that's the
yeah, and then
worst.
we work. We work a lot. Work. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just work. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And yeah, you're right, bro. That's real deep, bro. Cause I deal with that stuff too, bro. You
Mm.
know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
We all do, and we just don't
Yeah.
talk.
yeah,
You
we
know?
don't go to counseling. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? This is
And like you
yeah,
say, you
bro.
had your high moments and you had your lows, and like you say, especially
Facts.
losing somebody, you always just stick with you, like
Mm.
but it's just trying to balance it, but it can put you in a deep, you know, a dark mood, bro. And it's like you might not even want to feel like that, but your reaction that day just might just be off because you still trying to, you know, accept that, you know.
Yeah, cope. Yeah, bro.
Yeah, and I thank God I do have a creative outlet, because if I didn't have a creative outlet, man, I'd be lost. And if I didn't have my daughter too, like I'd be lost. So like I just know like sometimes you got to lean on certain things to help you get through, and I definitely leaned on my art, on my daughter to get me through, and that's just what we got to do in life. But these are things I also try to talk about, is these masculinity issues that we got. That's why I'll paint men and what's traditionally like feminine color palettes, because I'm trying to get us to tap more into our feminine side. Because a lot of times, like you see a lot of group of girls, like girls that get together and talk about, oh, this man did me wrong, and no rally behind her, like, oh girl, forget him.
Right.
Like a girls club. We ain't got that shit as men.
We ain't doing that.
Our heart get broken. We be like, fuck that bitch. Or
right.
Toxic. Like, go get on some of these other girls, you know. We don't have these outlets that we can just really just be vulnerable and stuff. And I was like, but all us men are the same, but we don't feel comfortable doing that. So sometimes I'd be like jealous of that women got this sisterhood type of shit. And I'd be like, man, I wish we really had a bro club. And sometimes you might have that like with a best friend or two if you're fortunate. But overall, like, nah, we don't got that shit. Like, we really don't. But you know, this is us. This is us.
Right.
Man. So, you know, with that being said, you since committed to art full time, you know, like it was comic books and 70s art that inspired you. Like, which comics was your favorite, you know, and why at the time? And what about those 70 album covers that intrigued your creativity?
Yeah, man. Well, as far as the comic books, I'm a Batman guy. Like I'm primarily
Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, I do. I love Batman, and I like some of those early comic books, and some of the drawing really was some of those Asian comic books too. Like I can't even recall the names of them, but sometimes I would just buy comic books based on the art that I liked. Some of those Asian comic books before like even anime, that it was comic books, and so some of that art really influenced me with their line work. But Batman, but overall, there's a lot of Marvel comic books too. Like that inspired me, because that was my fine art. You know, like honestly, like even my mom was a creative, I wasn't exposed to museums and stuff at a young age. So art to me was comic books. And then in the 70s, with the vinyl, a lot of those artists literally had artwork right on the cover, from a lot of the Ohio Players to Parliament type of covers. And I looked at those as fine art. I was like, this is art. This is what I want to do. And then even if you look at the black exploitation movies and those posters like Superfly and stuff, they would be drawing. And they would have a big picture, and then they have the movie at the bottom, and the art on those was dope. So that was my fine art. So those are the things that definitely influenced me as a young creator and drawer. And I would just try to redraw some of the things that I saw. And so that's what I grew up doing early, was like drawing Spider-Man over and over and stuff like that, and trying to really just mimic what I was seeing. And I didn't really redraw any of the album covers, but those were very inspiring to me. And I do remember when, like a type of career day type of thing at school, I think it was even like middle school, I brought in album covers, and I was like, this is what I want to do. And they called it commercial art back then. I was like, okay, I want to be a commercial artist. And so that's, as in middle school, like that was my path right at the beginning. And I'd kind of been plotting toward that the whole time. So yeah, but I had the courage though to be an artist, just being black. So I studied graphic design and got a degree in that, because I came from a blue collar family. I was just like, I got to get a job, because I never literally seen anybody black as an artist until I was an adult. So I didn't have the balls then. So I was living as a graphic designer for several years, but like we've talked about, when my sister passed, that motivated me. But then when my mother passed, it really was like, I gotta I got to do this like now or never. So shortly after my mother passed, that's when I kind of orchestrated getting like let go at my job to pursue art full time. And then that was probably about 7, maybe 8 years ago now. And it's just been no looking back. So I just really just gave up a whole 15-year successful creative graphic design career.
Yeah.
And almost started at zero. And, but I was just like, there's no perfect time to do it. I said, if you go do something sometimes, because I do believe that, like, once you start having, like, I think in life, you got to have like small wins that make
most definitely.
to make you believe that shit is possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I had enough little small wins that I really believe that almost like I'm going to be probably successful at any fucking thing that I put my energy into.
Yeah.
And that's just straight up. I had a successful design career because I put my energy into that. I'm not going to have anything art related if I'm not putting my energy into it. If I'm putting part-time energy, I'm going to get part-time results.
Yeah.
So I really just looked at it like that. I said, I got to go all in. That's the only way. So I just really rolled the dice and said, fuck it. And it really was like a starting all over. So I looked at it as I'm retiring for graphic design. So I'm taking my 401k now because I'm a retired. You know, I'm not waiting until I'm 65. You want to hit me on it? Hit me on it because I'm retired.
Straight up.
My retirement fund, right?
Right, it's yours.
Yeah. So I took that shit. I jeopardized my credit scores. Like, okay, I can't pay that right now. You know, I just risked everything, man. Like, and I had it where it was like had double digits in my account at sometimes because now I'm kind of starting all over, and I'm trying to raise a family, and I'm like, damn, I only got like $80 in my account, and I'm just like, trust in the Lord, and just keep word, and I did feel like some blessings are gonna come, and every time that I was like real close to feeling like you got to knock somebody aside the head, like a job would come. You know what I'm saying? I was like, so I just kept pushing and just kept working and believing in myself. And I encourage anybody that's thinking about something that you just got to be willing to do it. And you got to also be willing to go through it. But if you put your energy into it and you actually are, got a good work ethic and you're kind of good at what you're doing, it's going to work for you.
Right.
Nah, that was a dope answer, bro. You really just defined the underdog in your own way, bro. This was so organic.
Yeah, like literally, you don't know, bro. Like we do this type of stuff too for the viewers that's watching. Like you're literally encouraging someone to step out that box to chase their dreams.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Black folks, because I remember, like I said, I'd never seen a black artist.
Right.
I was already on that path. Like when I was an adult and I already made my decision, this is what I want to do. I actually didn't meet anyone that looked like me that was living that life until I was already an adult. And so if I would have saw that as middle school or something, that would have made me believe in myself a way sooner. So it's almost, I owe it to lace anything that I'm doing with some motivation in there. It's like, I am like trying to get this paper, but at the same time, I always have to consider that. And I think sometimes, like when you black, it's part of your obligation.
It is.
And it's not just black. If a white artist gets inspired, cool. But I know I have an obligation to that little kid that looks like me.
Yep.
Most definitely. It's definitely all about the youth, right
it's
now.
All about it.
Like my own coach was saying, like we basically, giving our people their flowers, and at the same time, anybody that's watching, we probably got over 100 mirrors right now. Say you can look at this person's story, they can probably been where you was or where you at right now. They used to be, but now this is where they're at. So that's giving them hope, like that they can move forward. They make and everybody got a story to tell. So
everybody do. Everybody's story is valid too, and you got to be able to put yourself in a vulnerable situation to share your story too.
Yeah.
For real.
Nah,
yeah,
we start
You got a dope story, bro. Not only just a dope story, you got
Thank
dope
you.
work ethic. And I'm telling you from my mouth, bro, you gonna get you where you wanna be at, bro.
I
Just
appreciate
keep
that.
doing what you're doing, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in your own words, define what is art. Like, what is art? What does it mean to you? You know, being
Art is, to me, I think art is human emotion made tangible and human nature made tangible. Is putting it out there. And I just think that's in any art form, that's really what it is, in my definition, from my perspective. But I even when people maybe don't, there's always emotion involved in anything you create, and I think it's human emotion made tangible, for sure. And for,
yeah,
it means to me, man, it's everything to me. Like it's man, like you got to be careful too. Like I tell my daughter is 16 and she's kind of going after my footsteps. She's a creative. She's definitely more musical, but she paints and she's going into graphic design.
yeah,
Uh, you got to also be careful to not become a victim of your own passion. You know what I'm saying? And I'm definitely close to that right now. Like you can become victims of that passion, because as much as I try to act like art ain't everything to me, or I say it is everything, but I try to say it's not everything. It fucking is, man. Like
yeah.
it be having me missing shit. It be having me not engaging with my friends.
Right.
Right.
Romantic relationships. It's like, oh
Yeah.
my God, like what the hell, like, and I'm waking up and I'm creating and I'm sleeping and I'm even when I'm in front of somebody having a conversation, I'm thinking my mind is racing somewhere else. It's like a
Yeah.
gift and a curse. It really is.
Yeah.
It is everything, man. And I'm to that point, like I keep saying, like accepting myself and accepting my demons is like, man, like, and then I'm getting to the point, like, why am I feeling bad about it? Like, too, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do, bro. I absolutely do. Like, do you consider yourself as like a introvert, like most of the time?
Yeah. Uh huh.
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, bro. I
Yeah. Converted, and I go and I put my fixes in places and I stick and I move and
Yeah.
yeah.
It'd be your
I,
thoughts be the biggest thing where you get going back and forth, like, man.
Right.
man, that it got a hold on me, man. And but
Man.
that's what I am. That's what I love, and I just be asking for patience for people that I deal with.
Yeah.
But it is definitely a cautionary tale. Like some people be like, some young artists too. Like they emerge and they want to be where I am, and I'm like, that's cool. But also, I always want people to be further than me. But anyway, but if you're
Yeah.
looking where I am and they peek behind that curtain, it ain't no magic secret. You go see
Yeah.
a whole lot of hard work. You know
And
what I'm
that's
saying?
Yeah.
that's
You
that's
go see a
that's
whole
why this
lot of
is
sacrifice.
important.
Yeah.
Everybody,
What?
everybody like to see the end results, but don't know want to
Hmm.
know what it took to get there.
Yep.
Exactly.
It's a lot of
I'm
hard work,
sitting,
man.
I'm sitting on millions behind me, but look, I had to jump through rings of fire and run from
You know
lions
what I'm
and
saying?
everything.
What?
Yeah, like no
Yeah.
man, like that. Wait, never mind. I think I want to try something else. Like it's a lot of work
Yeah.
go into it. Like
Yeah.
Said like 1 month could be good and 1 month I cannot make nothing, man. And I be trying to tell people like don't be trying to count my pockets because you have
right.
no idea. Like, and then sometimes that's not everybody's not built for that. Sometimes people want that security of knowing I'm gonna make this amount of money every
Yeah.
month. And sometimes like I can be killing them and then I'm not. So like I know that lifestyle, so I know how to set on my money and make it stretch because you got to know how to live as a damn creative until you hit that wall where everything's moving off the walls. But until then, you gotta be built for that.
Yeah.
Got to.
Gotta
Yeah,
have a plan.
you damn sure do.
So over time, how did you begin to improve as an artist? Like when it came to creating, your pieces, like when you come up with new concepts and stuff.
Well, I for a long time I think as an artist, and I think this is true for a painter, and I think it's true for a musician or anything. A lot of times, initially, you're just really focusing on your craft and getting better at your craft. So, like, if you're playing the guitar or drums, like before you're learning how to write music, you're just learning how to keep a beat. You know, you might be learning how to read music, and you're not even thinking creatively yet. You're thinking of you're getting good at the craft. So art is really the same way. Like initially at the time for years, I was just really building my confidence with my strokes and learning how to actually get a handle on the materials. Uh, but I might have been painting a lot of other people's image, like photographs and shit. Like it really wasn't all of my ideas, but I'm studying just the craft. And you do that for years as an artist. And then you get to a point where you really want to start expressing your ideas and really start coming up with your own creative things. And then you're mixing that school of training with the ideas. And then that's when things start to marinate. So honestly, for me, I feel like that didn't, even though I say I've been an artist my whole life, I feel like that didn't happen to about 6-7 years ago when I really was like, okay, I found my voice. I kind of found my, and it's still developing and developing. But I'm at that stage now where it's all about the ideal, and I'm confident in the skill. So for a big chunk of that, that is what it is. And I think a lot of artists, that's just kind of a traditional path that I encourage people to do, is really learn the medium. And then after you start to learn, it really is important to start coming up with some creative, original ideas. And that's when you really start to become an artist. Like, other than that, it's just the hand. And a lot of people are impressed by the hand. They're impressed by, oh, that looks just like the photograph, or that looks so real. They're impressed with the ability. I'm to the point I don't really give a damn about the ability. I want to know like what the thought process is, and are you going to thoughts and convey these emotions into where I may not be getting exactly what you're getting, but I'm getting something of my own narrative out of what you're creating. That's what inspires me, and that's where I'm keep pushing myself and pushing myself and pushing myself. And honestly, I kind of feel like like I said, I feel like I always feel like I'm just starting that underdog mentality. But as far as that, I really am in my bag at that. Like I really am like really starting to really get personal with the work. And the work that I'm really doing even at the moment is really even getting more and more there.
Most definitely, man. So like, what are some of your memorable pieces that you would now consider like vintage in your collection, you know?
Well, as far as like fan favorite piece of mine, the veteran piece I did on the front lines of the gentleman, he was a real Vietnam veteran. That piece got the most attention, and a lot of people love that piece and kind of know me for that style. And they just can't get enough. And what a lot of people would like for me just to recreate more and more versions of that piece.
Right.
But even though I know that piece is so popular and it sold for a lot of money, and I understand I can build a whole career off of that style and that type of work, I totally like changed lanes and like went in a whole nother direction. So like I'm all about the journey. And so for me, my most memorable piece is always my next piece.
Okay, then.
But also, other than just saying that, the most recent stuff. So like some of the stuff, but the one of the pieces behind me is pretty recent. But I'm always on like what I'm currently doing, because I'm always trying to outdo myself. So like, even though some of those other pieces might be more fan favorites, to me they old now. So I'm always looking to the next thing, and I'm trying to get what's in my mind and what's in my subconscious and pull it out into a visual form. So that's what I'm trying to do now. Like I don't even know, like a lot of times when I'm starting my paintings now, I have no idea what it's gonna look like when it's finished. I just kind of have a vague idea. So that's why the portraiture works aren't as appeasing to me right now, because even if I take the image myself, I still got a roadmap that I'm basically following, and it's more implementation, as opposed to like the non-portraiture, some of the more abstract work. I really have no idea what it is, and it's my body and my mind working at the same time, as opposed to me like implementing, like looking at the GPS. Like if I'm doing a portraiture, I can say, okay, today I'm gonna do the eyes, I'm gonna come do the nose. Okay, today I'm gonna do the mouth, and I can almost see it in my head. And that's a dope thing to do too. My boy told me, well, that's a skill to be able to. I was like, yeah, that's right. I'm thankful for that. But at the same time, like it's that unknown that I'm kind of looking for now, and like, and not knowing what the end result is going to be, and also like letting go and not caring if the paint drips and does this and there. But the portrait work is like you almost want it to be perfect, like like almost like you. I wanted there's no mistakes, nothing happening. I just
So
that's
you
kind
more
of work.
free on the other work, but the
Man,
portraits you gotta be
Yeah,
like it's
yeah,
like standing in line. You gotta get in
yeah,
line in formation and walk a
yeah.
certain way.
yeah,
Yeah, getting back to that primal like type of kid type of feeling where like
Yeah,
I'm actually having a lot of fun while I'm creating it, and I
yeah,
paint and I enjoy what I do, but
yeah,
sometimes it feels like labor, like anything that you do.
yeah.
right.
But now the way I'm painting now, this shit is fun. I'm actually like enjoying it and like
Mhm.
getting back to that kind of like kid feeling, which is crazy. Like we all want to grow up, but it's like you
Mhm.
really understand like you had it made as a kid.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
so I kind of want to get back that mentality, not letting like these social constructs of are they gonna like this come into play.
Mhm.
Right.
Like
Nah, I
nah,
feel that.
yeah, I don't like the people who like it go respond to it, like
Yeah,
or I fuck with it though, but
yeah.
yeah, not really thinking about that. And sometimes I don't care what no artist say, like that creeps into your mind, especially when you're trying to sell it and you're trying to make a living. But
Mhm.
I'm getting to the point like I don't really care because it makes me more question your taste level than anything. I'd be like, I got to find people with better taste. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, like not me, it's you. Like,
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah. Nah, I was gonna say, man, let's talk about the work too. Like, which is the longest piece you've invested the most time on and completing that you could think about
Right.
where you really had there was some work behind that.
I mean, there are some pieces back in the day that I would take like months to paint on and be like 3 months, 2 or 3 months. But honestly,
Yeah.
like look at those works, it wasn't that they took 3 months to take; is that I was dragging that shit out, and also like I wasn't as good then. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't. So even though they took longer, they didn't turn out to be better. So now I would say like at the most that I'll spend like on a piece is like 3 to 4 weeks, and that's really at most. Like I would like to spend like like a week or maybe like 2 weeks, like a duration, and then I get into a point where like I may be painting on it like literally all day. But as far as like a duration, I need to be moving them things like a week or 2 weeks because as a working artist, like if you take let's say you're taking a month to take a piece,
Yeah.
that's 12 pieces a year. That's not really shit to tell you the truth. Like
Right.
unless you're really able to move those pieces for 30, 40 grand each, it's hard to make
Right.
a living on those because you're probably going to do some pieces that might take a little while to sell. So
Mm-hmm.
I can't just do like 12 pieces. I need to be banging out pieces every year, or like at least 30, 40 pieces annually. You got some artists that say you're not working unless you create 60 pieces. I don't think it's like a certain number, but I do know like I can't be marinating on these pieces for too long because honestly, when you talk about survival making a living mode,
Yeah.
that's a hard way to make a living unless you just know everything you selling is already gone. Then you can do that type of shit. But honestly, like for me, it's not even interesting or fun anymore because if I'm working on something and I'm really in my emotions and I'm trying to talk about how I'm feeling, it's hard to carry that feeling over for months. You know what I'm saying? Like I can stay in that feeling in that moment for like a week or so. So then I feel like I'm present into that piece while I'm creating. Otherwise, I'm painting old ideas and old feelings and trying to capture it when that emotion or feeling is really already past. So like what I'm doing now is more real time. It's more current. So like,
Yeah.
I'm loving that. So like I'm really evolving and changing, man. As an artist and a creative, I'm almost like going. Uh, I'm just I just think I like to use the word evolving. I don't think it's a change because everything is a build upon that I've done in the past. But I'm definitely evolving into the type of artist that I always wanted to be, honestly. But I didn't really have the courage. I don't think I had the courage or the skill set yet. But all those things are coming together,
Yeah.
uh, and also the reputation that I built is a better time for me to actually do what I want. Because sometimes you do got to do something, and even though I didn't think about that consciously, but sometimes until you get a name built up, you do things that you know is going to get people's attention because your name don't hold no weight.
Yeah.
The more and more your name holds weight, you actually have a little more freedom. Do what the hell you want, and people are still going to check for it. So I've done reached a point in my life that I feel like I can do stuff. They may not get it or like it, but they'll at least look at it. But if they really look at it, and I hate to sound this way, I don't see how you don't like it, because I think I think what I'm creating is good shit.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of where I am now, and it's fun because I'm really stepping into the unknown and having my life kind of not staged, but kind of there's a rhythm to it. I'm really at a point that I don't really know exactly what's going to happen from month to month, and as a creative, like that's kind of like a good. I'm kind of enjoying it. I kind of like being at the edge right now. It's kind of pushing me creatively.
Yeah. So even with the transition to Atlanta, like the Mecca known as Black Hollywood, out of all the places, like what made you? Well, you said your sister coming to Atlanta. So, like how influential has Atlanta been overall to you? To be a
Man,
native of what's considered the Black Mecca.
man, Atlanta is like I owe like so much to Atlanta. Like I cannot front, and I wouldn't say anything. And Atlanta's not perfect, and Atlanta has a whole lot of holes when it comes to the art community. But at the same time, like I get mad when I hear people like talking too bad about the city, because like Atlanta's one of the places that you can do it. Like if you really put in the time, and I don't know, maybe I came at the right time, but I feel like I don't know if I could be doing what I'm doing in another city. I just don't see it being even possible. And I'm just thankful that I've landed on Atlanta, because I came down here in 90. I think it was 96. Yeah, I've been here since 96 when the Olympics happened. It's the first year I came. And of course, I knew about Atlanta from like Outkast and even Kilo Ali, and I was listening to some stuff back then. But I came to Atlanta sight unseen. Like I just heard about Atlanta. Like I'll do some risky. I'll do some decisions like that. Like that's kind of. And I look back on my life, I've done a lot of decisions like that. Like when I went to Baton Rouge in Southern University, I went to the campus sight unseen. I barely knew anything about the campus. I just almost like said, I'm just going there. I had some friends who attended the school, and I just made up my mind and I went. So the first time I seen Baton Rouge in Louisiana, period, is when I was touched down to go to school there. Atlanta was the same way for me. Like I never visited Atlanta. The first time I came here is when I came with my bags in the hand. So I was just coming off the strength of what everyone was telling me. I'd never seen the city from my eyes. And then my sister said she wanted to go to Atlanta. She was trying to pursue music at the time. She never visited Atlanta either. So we both just came here and was like, hey, this is cool, looking around, didn't really know shit. But then when I got here, but I even sight unseen, I just felt like I had a better shot at having an art career in Atlanta. So I knew like Kansas wasn't it. I knew when I went to Louisiana, I quickly saw that wasn't it either as far as when it came to art. So I figured out Atlanta has to be better. So when I came here, the typical things that I think everyone probably says about Atlanta, especially at that time, it affected me the same way, where I did see positive. I saw working Black folks in nice cars and things, and I know that happens in other parts of the world, but I didn't really see that growing up. I saw working people have nice cars, but not young people in an abundance that Atlanta had. And it wasn't just from hustling, even though Atlanta got some hustlers, but it wasn't just from hustling. So it motivated me. And then they did have an art scene. They had the National Black Arts Festival. It was really big during that time. And a lot of artists, honestly, got to say, like, there's a lot of people want to be responsible for the creative renaissance in Atlanta. But to be honest, like, it was a National Black Arts Festival. Like, they brought so many creators here during that time. And not only painters, they had Maya Angelou here. they really had like a lot of people coming to Atlanta during that time and they created that in the 80s. So I saw Nashville Black Arts Festival, and that's around the first time like I said, I didn't see a successful artist until I was an adult, and that was at that time period. And then I saw a big mural. Kevin had that mural at Carter Hall right off of 20. It was like that Coke sponsored, and it had black faces right on Carter Hall. And that was the first time I actually saw black faces on a big mural like that, painted by black artists. I was like, oh, hell no, this is my city. That mural was so important to me. And then what's crazy is Kevin Cole curated my first art show. So the first art show that I got into was because of Kevin Cole. And that mural let me know that I chose the right city. So I can only do that shit in Atlanta. And then when I came out as an artist, I'm an artist, you know, Atlanta embraced me. You know, that Atlanta gave me wall space. Atlanta people living in Atlanta, because of course not everyone's from Atlanta, but people living in Atlanta were more sharing, like with knowledge and opportunity than you typically hear in other cities. You hear people from New York always say like they hoard information sometimes, but Atlanta wasn't like that, man. And then Atlanta kind of supports Atlanta. So that's kind of where I kind of fit in now. Like, even though I'm not from Atlanta, I rep Atlanta, and I've been doing things for Atlanta for a long time. So Atlanta supports me now. You know, like Atlanta kind of put his arms around me, and it kind of took me in as an AT alien. So I love the city, man, and I love the different vibes too. Like, and I've visited other cities where, you know, I know Atlanta where I want to hear reggae. I know if I want to hear some top 40 radio shit. I know if I want to hear some underground backpacker shit. I know if I want to hear some dance or jungle and bass. Atlanta got all of that sauce, and I can go find it. And I know other cities do not have that. They got kind of one or two scenes. So I love Atlanta, man, and it made it possible for me. And I wasn't born here, but I'm gonna be buried in this motherfucker because my daughter was born here, and this is where I'm gonna lay to rest. Is gonna be in this Georgia soil, that's for sure. I'm not going back. My body ain't being taken back home. I'm gonna be buried here because that's where my daughter is, and I want my body to be close to her. So yeah, I'm gonna be in this Georgia clay.
Even speaking of like the art festival, bro, I heard y'all got one coming up like next week. I want to say or tomorrow.
I mean, I have a show here tomorrow, and we do First Fridays every year. I'm not for sure about a festival though.
Yeah, because my sister just sent me something. I didn't get to look at the link, but she was just telling me she's coming to Atlanta. I want to say next week for like an art festival.
Oh, it could be. I just may not. Sometimes I be having my head in the sand, but
right. It be a lot going on in Atlanta, so I get you, bro.
Dude. And it's crazy to say, like, when you do have a space, like, it is so, like, my energy is so focused on this downtown, like, you know, underground Atlanta, because that is my stomping ground. And I do support, and I go pop my head in other places, but you know, I got to ship the captain, and so it is hard for me to kind of get outside in my own environment sometimes.
Nah, most definitely, man. Atlanta definitely is like I say, I got that feeling when I moved out here. Like, it's just, you know, it's different, but it's in a good way. Like you say, it got the same as every other place, you know, every other city. But the thing that stand out for me is our people out here thriving and doing all these different events and coming together. You know, like, I like to see what's going on because I think that's the same format here. People always like to, you know, idolize what's going on with Atlanta, but they're not applying that in their city. You know, they can be doing the same thing. Like, you don't have to leave your city and come start it there. Like you said, it starts with us, you know. So
yeah, because it's like I did come in at the right time, because I hear people coming in now, they don't have the same feeling sometimes, because now Atlanta almost, when it was open hands, now it's almost like this, because like even when you hear that "we full" type sentiment, like now I'm thankful I came at the right time, because newcomers sometimes I hear some opposition, but Atlanta just support Atlanta. Like, you really have to pour into the community before the community starts pouring into you. So like people come and just want to benefit from the bricklayers. It's a different thing. But I do love Atlanta, and I'm just thankful for it, and not only Atlanta, like it's just that southeast region.
Yeah.
I just think this is a good region of the world to be in.
South.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
easy access to the Caribbeans. You know, we got easy access to New York. I just think this part of the world is just an ideal part of the world.
Most definitely. So, founded in 2017-18, Future Gallery first location was at a fire station at a former military base for Mac in East Point, Georgia.
Yeah,
Then 2021 relocated to historic underground Atlanta location downtown. So, out of all your exhibits you have hosted, what are some key takeaways as you continue to grow, with Future Gallery?
yeah. So, yeah. So the gallery started at Fort Mac, which is a military base, the former Confederate military base,
Right.
and it's crazy. And I'm a history buff too, so it's crazy to have to say I had an art gallery there. Uh, and also it's crazy too because I always, as a kid, I always thought that I would live in a fire station, but I was thinking like a New York fire station and turn that into like a law studio thing, and I
Right.
have that ideal of the fire pole type of fire station, but I ended up at a fire station, so my gallery was at a fire station at Fort Mac, and I turned it
Right.
into an art gallery and just made it work. We did some great shows. I had about 30 shows there within 2 years. I was cranking them out once a month, and I built my confidence and my chops there because I didn't think I not that I didn't think I can do it, but it really wasn't in my. I never said I wanted to have an art gallery. I never said that out loud. It's just it was blessed to me, and it was in front of me, and I wasn't afraid of the moment. I've done some curation, and it gave me confidence as a curator. And I said, okay, I'm good at this. I can have an avenue at this. But I
Right.
didn't think that would snowball into a gallery. But when it did, I just ran with it. So yeah, we had and I have some good shows because I'm an artist, so I'm doing the type of shows that I would like to see and that I would like to participate in as an artist. So I just learned a lot through the process. And I've had like Dead Ringer is one of my memorable shows. The FDA freshman class that I started at Underground is another memorable one. But some of the most popular ones
Yeah.
aren't the most memorable to me, though. Honestly, like some of the small ones I did that kind of got overlooked. Are some of what I felt like the ones I enjoyed the most. Like I had the show called Destroy and Rebuild. I really loved that show uh, when it was about artists that have existing work, kind of break it down and make something new, like repaint it or do something basically like remix a piece of artwork like you do with music.
Yeah.
So I called it
Yeah.
Destroy and Rebuild, and that was just a fun show for me. And then a Tony Lohort show called Metalworks was the first kind of retrospect show that I did, where it was his whole body of work from like 30 years to present at the time. And as a curator, those are kind of important shows to do retrospect. But a lot of then I got shows that I've done for emerging artists that are important, and shows that I've done trying to cultivate art collectors. So it's a lot of different ones. And then there's some that opportunities I provided for Black women curators that were important.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot
Yeah.
that
It's a
stand
lot.
out. It's hard to pin down just one, but they all build upon each other, and they're all personal growth journeys that I'm going through, and I just take a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of other people along the road with me. That's the way I curate. So if like I did a show called Past, Present, Future, and it was about me dealing with my past, which was finally dealing with my mother passing in a painting. So it was a painting for the past that spoke to the past, a painting that spoke to the present, a painting that spoke through the future. This was something that I needed to go through personally, so I curated a show around it and took a
Yeah.
bunch of people on a journey with me. That's honestly the way I curate. So it's like something with me, and I'm sharing it with another group of people.
Mm-hmm. Nah, most definitely, man. Like giving them the experience to appreciate the work too.
Yeah,
It's like you say you did it, but it's like for them to take the story in the way, like in the art form.
yeah. It's like
Um,
responsible because if I say I'm going to do something,
mhm.
the hardest thing for me to do, I had a big creative block, and it was definitely dealing with my mother and my sister passing through my
Right.
art. So I didn't have the courage to deal with it. So I literally curated that show, past, present, future, to make me deal with it. And then it also gave me it gave me strength, honestly, to have other artists do their past, present, future stuff too. So you
Oh,
see
that's
how like
hard.
I use it as my own therapy to tell you
That's
the truth,
hard.
and it pushes
Yeah.
me. But I'm taking y'all on the trip
It's
with me because
pushing
I know
them
you
to,
got some
yeah,
shit that you need to deal with too. You got some shit you need
yeah.
to deal with too. Let's all deal with our shit
That's
together.
dope. That's
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 dope,
a good idea.
yeah,
man.
and the same thing that I needed an outlet as an emerging artist. I know how that felt, so I'm gonna create a show for emerging artists to have an outlet because I know how that shit feels. So like everything is based off something I'm going through or something I experienced, and I create shows around that. Uh, but they all got like the first show I did at Fort Mac, the show was called Thankful, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and it was each artist do a piece about something that they feel thankful for and what does thankfulness mean to you. So the whole group show was the theme was thankful. And the reason why, because I felt thankful because I had a gallery now. So
Yeah,
that was the very first show because I was thankful. Now I want y'all to express creatively how y'all are thankful too. And that's definitely literally how I curate. Like if anyone pays attention, they'll see that, like, for
that's
sure.
hard. So you have an extended portfolio from awards, solo exhibitions, group exhibitions, having your work featured in Miami, Bulgaria, City of Atlanta from the year 2015 to 2023, as well as giving back, way of lectures, helping people understand the importance of investing in their art and creative ways for artists to monetize their art. So with all of what you do, the acknowledgement and the accolades, what continues to keep you grounded with your art and keep you like pushing forward to keep growing as a man and as a brand?
Yeah, I mean, and also like I do a lot of things, and a lot of those things is because I have a passion to do it. But and a lot of these things too is because of necessity too. Honestly,
Yeah,
like I started curating because I was getting a lot of no's. So I had stuff that I wanted to show. So I said, well, I'm gonna curate my own show then if you won't let me in your show. So a lot
yeah,
of these things happen out of necessity, and then uh, and then you start to get recognition for some of these things that you do. And as an artist, you have to have multiple streams of income. So it keeps me doing a bunch of different stuff. And I also just I came from the each one teach one generation. So that's why the lectures, I do the lectures and try to give back anything that I learned. And I want to pass that down to other people because
that's dope.
I
Like,
feel like it's important. And also I understand that like when you that's how you keep getting blessings too. Like
yeah,
you also got to understand that like if you want good things in your life, then you got to give good things. Uh,
yeah,
so I do know if I want to receive, then I got to give as well. So that comes into play. Uh, but it's and then like I said, as I was an artist that never saw nothing, so I try to fill these holes that I can. Uh, but all those things are important, and they all kind of equate to being who I am and what I do. But at the core, all I do want to do is paint. Like I can't front. Like I would stop.
yeah,
I would stop doing all that stuff. Like all I want to do is wake up and paint every day.
yeah,
But I'm getting closer and closer to that goal. But until then, I need like 3 to 5 ways that I can make money out here right now.
mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
and
For
then that's where
real.
that survival mode kind of kicks in. Then I
Yeah,
feel like if you're doing it, you might as well do it well. I'm not just doing it for money. I got to
yeah,
put heart into it.
yeah.
So all of it kind of feeds into itself.
Everything yin yang, all
Yeah,
balance.
but
Yeah.
it's all about
Cause
creating.
it's
Yeah,
dope that you saying you doing something you love and you getting the money. Some people do it for the money and don't really love what they doing, so now they forcing themselves like they're not enjoying
Oh
it
no.
all the way like that. They just
Yeah.
doing it because they want the money.
and at some
Uh,
point in your life, like there's seasons for it. Like there's certain seasons that all you care about is.
mhm.
So like
Yeah,
sometimes, like if you got a newborn and you didn't really have no money before,
yeah,
grind. So like I understand that, and I don't like if I see someone money grabbing, I just always understand that I'm not in their shoes. I don't really know what's going on, and there's
yeah.
a time that you do got to just focus on that paper.
Mm-hmm.
But then you get to a point where it's more important to me right now. Making money is important, but what's
Yeah,
more important is how I make my money.
Yeah.
I want to make my money the way that I want to make my money.
Yeah, that's
And
that's
that means
real.
I might make a little less.
Yeah,
I'll just stop spending on certain things because I want to make my money how I want to make my money, and
that's
then
real.
I feel like I'm captain in my ship and I'm my own man, and I'm not compromising anything.
Yeah,
So that's where I am now. It's like I want to make my money how I want to make my money. There's a ton
yeah,
of ways I can make more money than I'm making right now, uh,
yeah.
but fuck that.
Straight up. Straight up. I like how you said that because you like
Yeah,
you still able to be yourself. You
Yeah.
still able to have full control. You don't want nothing else to control you. So it's
Nah,
like
man. It
I
goes
want to
with,
make my
like,
money how I'm gonna make it. Like,
exactly.
yeah,
It goes with like me also like my sister and my mother passing and other
yeah,
people passing and ain't nobody ever really, that's not what I want people to say about me. Like when I'm
yeah,
gone, like, oh, he made a lot of money or oh, he did this. Like, hell no. Like, that's not what I want them to say about me.
yeah,
Like, 'cause that's what's gonna carry your legacy forever. That's how you live forever, is by people remembering you and
yeah,
talking you up and keeping you alive.
yeah,
So what did they go? What do you want them to say about you? Oh, he had a lot of money, And honestly, like I want you to talk about the art too, but that's not
yeah.
what I talk about either. I want you to talk about how I made you feel.
Ooh,
You know,
yeah,
sometimes
yeah,
that's like he motivated me or he inspired me or he just made me laugh.
yeah,
Like that's your legacy. And then luckily I do have these tangible pieces to leave behind.
yeah.
But if all they say about me is that I was a great artist, I feel like I failed that life.
I feel that, bro. Cause that's why I be feeling in a way like me doing a lot of different things I do. Like as we do this podcast, we artists. I got a clothing brand. Like I got a lot to leave behind, and I also do right by people. Like even with the
Yeah.
Underdawgs platform, like this is strictly what it's dedicated to for our culture. Like to give back
yeah,
and give our people their flowers, and stuff. Because in our community, people be feeling like it's hard for them to tell you, man, good job. I see you,
mm,
man, or I'm really inspired by that. Like,
right.
so we trying to change the narrative because we the ones, like you say, we're the ones in control. We're
Mm-hmm.
the only ones that can, not depending on nobody else. We the only ones that can break the barriers, our bad habits, our toxic traits. We know what's going on with us. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, well, let's start. Like it might start off like this, but then in another year or so, we might be able to touch more people and more. It's just building that network. So
Yeah. Yeah, like when you
definitely,
asked me earlier about one of the principles, I couldn't think of a saying. It came to me like just something my aunt used to tell me, like, if you got something to complain about, then you got work to do.
yeah,
That's just all it is. Like,
yeah,
I
if
like
you,
that. I like that.
yeah. That's
yeah,
real,
if you got complaints, you got work to do. Like, you don't like how that's happening. You don't like how the music business or something does that. Then you got fucking work to do. Do something
man.
about it. Like,
Yeah,
just sit there and complain and don't get nothing done.
yeah. Nah, that's real, man. So, uh, man, let's talk about the Trap Museum collaboration too, man. I left that off, but I meant to ask you about that. Like, how did that come about?
Yeah, Trap Music Museum. They reached out to me. I've been familiar with the curator Adela. I got on her radar through the art and curation. She's been to a
Yeah,
couple of shows, and she kind of introduced me. She talked me up to the Trap Music Museum. Like, yeah, this guy Eugene and curation, and that's
right.
what people talking you up out there. She's one of the ones who definitely did that to their organization. And from my perspective, I saw Trap Music Museum, and I've been known I don't know Ti, but I know about Ti,
Yeah,
and I saw him doing a Trap Music Museum, and I like that because he is championing that part of the culture that I say sometimes
yeah,
like that. Uh, and they started engaging with artists, but they're not in the art biz; they're music execs. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like,
yeah,
but they really are genuine about their dealings with artists, but them not really knowing the art world, but they kind of got into it.
mm-hmm.
Uh, some people might have been complaining. Some artists, artists like to complain sometimes.
Yeah,
You'll hear some complaints or whatever, but I always respected them because I was like, no matter if they got it ironed out or perfect right now, this is another avenue that they're creating
yeah,
for artists, and they were hiring curators, they were hiring set builders. So rather some of the painters themselves wasn't necessarily getting money, they were employing a lot of creative people. So I had a lot of respect for them right off the rip. So then when they saw what I was doing with what I do, if you do that artist, like I got a reputation that people know I'm about the art. I put so many artists on, and I've done a lot of community things, so I got a reputation for that. So it was a good. I think initially it was a good marriage for them to deal with me because I have a good reputation with art visual artists. And for me, it was good for me to link up with them because they can put more eyes on what I'm doing with their larger like social following and social platforms.
Yeah.
So it was a benefit for both of us to engage. I saw that. I think they saw that. I know my work. They know their work.
Yep.
At the end of the day, we Black people out here trying to do it.
Yep.
So we worked together, and it ended up being one relationship, and we both enjoyed working together. And now it's a third time relationship. This is my third time engaging with them on a business level with this upcoming FDA freshman class show, which I mimicked off of the double XL cover of the music freshman class. So I did my own art freshman class called the FDA freshman class.
Yeah.
And they like that idea, like Trap Music Museum, because they're kind of music. They are in the music game, I should say. They are in the music business. So they like that idea. They like that show. So it made sense for us to work together again on this show.
Yeah.
Now we are permanent partners on the FDA freshman class. They actually invested into a long-term relationship to partners on that show.
That's dope.
Which is crazy because I literally never thought about that. Like I come up with a lot of shows. It's almost like the seat in my pants, man. I have an idea, boom, that's dope. Run with it. In a couple of weeks into production. I never thought that I would actually sell the rights to an art show. You know what I'm saying? It's something I never really considered. I knew people might want to buy into feature that artist or buy into the gallery. Or I never thought someone would actually want to buy into an art show. So that idea is fucking crazy to me, and it also tells me to stop discounting like the content I'm creating because it had value, but also I respect them for seeing the value of it too, and actually wanting to partner. So this is the first year that we're partnering together on the FDA freshman class, but we're going to continue a partnership because this is going to be an annual show. And they got some of the muscle to make the show bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Right.
So yeah, so that's the plan with that. So yeah, so we're actually like official business partners now, not just working together. So I give them the respect, man, and I'm just looking forward to engaging because they really are concerned about really getting into this art for real and making sure that they have a good reputation with artists, our community, and they are trying to move that work, so that they got good intentions when it comes to visual arts.
Yeah, nah, that's really dope, man. And good to hear you saying, it's good business too, everything gotta make sense. So man, what's the message to aspiring artists that will be useful for them along their journey of being artistically great?
Man, I just want to make it clear that it's possible. It may seem like it's a dream, but dreams can become reality. Like it definitely is possible. So don't let anyone steer you. Like no one's gonna understand. Like if you're an artist or creative, a lot of people
right.
they're not gonna see your vision, man.
Right. Yeah, literally. Like
not.
Yeah.
They not. You just gotta believe in yourself. And then the other thing is don't get beside yourself either.
Yeah.
You gotta study this craft. Yeah. Don't think because you got a desire and you got a good ideal or two that you just cut out for it, man. And I'm not saying that you not.
Like that's it. I don't have to work no more. Like this is the best idea ever, and this is the only idea.
You got to keep them things coming, man. Like, like you can make 200,000 in 1 year. You got to follow that up, and you make the same amount every year, but you got to keep these ideas coming, keep them coming. It's a lot. But I think like just believe in yourself and study your craft and stop. And don't compare yourself to anybody else. Yeah. That's a big downfall with the creators. I see like cats like 20 years old comparing themselves to me or Kevin Williams or Charlie Palmer. It's like, bro, why are you doing that? You're just gonna get their feelings hurt because we got fucking 20 years on you.
Yeah.
Right.
And you are, some of these younger guys, you're way better than a lot of young guys. You're way better than me at 20. I'm not even saying you're better or worse than me, because younger people can paint better than me. But what I'm saying is, as far as like being able to be full time and things of that nature, don't compare yourself to someone who has so much of a far gap on you. If anything, just look at how they got there. And when I say look at how they got there, I'm not even saying their craft. I'm saying look at how they're moving. Like, if you're a creative, stop paying attention to what they're doing creatively. Like, a lot of times I don't care about what people are doing creatively unless they're starting to come into my lane or our stuff is starting to get too familiar. I still come up with that hip hop era. Biting is not cool. You know, I'm not trying to produce nothing no one else is doing, but a lot of people do. But I'm not looking at nobody else's work. And I think you look at that from just an ideal standpoint, but not as what you're doing. I think you should study creatives you should look at a successful creative and just study how they're moving. How are they up and around? What circles are they doing? How did the fuck did they get to where they're getting? You know, who is that person they're always hugging in that picture that has 100 followers that seem like they ain't someone of important, but they are. You know, like, you got to start paying attention. Like, did they go to school? What did they study? What galleries did they show at an emerging level? Like, before they got into the big galleries.
That's the real sauce.
Stones. Yeah, that's what you need to be looking at. Like,
that's the real sauce. Because like you say, it can be 100 million artists out here. It's a lot of great people that probably not even, you know, like how it is with rappers. Everybody know you, but you got rappers that ain't in the business, but they real talented. They, like you say, they didn't study the sauce. Like, you got to really look at everything on the outside of it, not just like, oh, I'm gonna copy their art, I'm gonna replicate this, or I'm gonna try to be like, see what they're doing to have longevity in the art game. You know?
Yeah, like I said, like, a lot of times you do copy some shit because if you're a beginning artist, when I was saying earlier, you're just studying the craft. But don't
say
be
the
out
hand
there
trying to
But don't be out there really. Sometimes not everything's be exhibited. Like, sometimes just keep that to yourself or amongst your small circle. Once you start exhibiting, you don't want to be doing that shit.
Like, like a comedian getting on stage telling another comedian jokes. Now you showcasing it.
Nah, you tell that shit to your girls. And shit. Right. Don't take that shit on the road. You know? So
now you must be just practicing your comedian voice or something like that.
Yeah, you're getting your timing down. So that's fine. And that's what I think a lot of young artists like. And I'm not discouraging it, because sometimes, like, the older generation, we made it easier for the younger generation for a reason. So that's cool too. But at the same time, like, I was painting for years before I ever exhibited something.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, not everything's about just putting on the wall. Like, I'm studying that craft. And then when I started exhibiting, you know, you still want to exhibit because you want to get feedback from what you're doing. But at the same time, like, don't rush this shit. Like, this is art. Like, this ain't athletics. Like, I can keep doing this when I'm 80. Like, I'm gonna keep getting better and better and better and better and better. There is no rush. Like, you know, like, take your time. And there's something about studying, you know, and paying dues. And that's what separates people who do it for a living. Like, they'll get weeded out. Like, the cream always rises to the top. But if you get out there too early, sometimes it might kill your confidence. Discourage you. Like, but I encourage people I just want people to know that it's possible. Do it. Take it serious. Like, you should be gearing yourself to, that's what you want to do. That's like, if you should know someone local. Like, if now, like, when I was growing up, it was a little different. Now with social media, like, you should, if you want to be an artist, like, especially if you're a woman artist, you should be looking at other women artists, because that's going to motivate you. You got to see other people doing it. And there's no reason, like, if I ask you, who's your favorite local Black female artist, and you say, you know, I don't know. I'm not saying you're not serious, but you're not taking it serious enough, because you should know somebody. And just also carry yourself like a business. Like, you know, understand that, have some pride about yourself. Like, you're a business. Like, you know, that's a beauty about art. Like, I'm doing everything a manufacturer does. You know what I'm saying? I just do it with art. Like, the same thing. I market, I create. I'm an industry. You know, like take advantage of that shit. Like America's catered toward business owners. Like and treat yourself professional. Like you know, like sometimes artists use it as an excuse. I'm just an artist. I'm an artist, and they use that as an excuse to be half-assed. Like don't do that. You know what I'm saying? like try to show up on time if you can. You know, meet the deadline.
Yeah,
like,
punctuality is as a business.
yeah, and also like don't. You know, like sometimes we're fueled by emotion and life experiences, but
Yeah,
if your ass can go to a job every day and clock in for 40 hours a week, why the fuck you can't create it? You know what I'm saying? If you can go to a job and stack some boxes or do anything else that you hate, and you literally do that 5 days a week, you tell me you can't do something that you love every day? That's when you gotta look in the mirror and check yourself.
that's
Like
real.
you love this because yeah, because everybody do shit that they hate every day. They do it for everybody has that job, but you wake up in the morning, get showered, fuck, I hate this job, and go do
it. Man,
but
bro,
you can't do what you love. It's like
man,
that's a disconnect. That's a disconnect.
That's deep, bro. That's deep, brother.
Yeah, because that shows you only do it for the money. Like that's what it tells you.
Yeah, for real. Because like now we were saying, money is just a tool. Unfortunately, in the economics, especially the time we living in now, bro, it's like I don't understand what what's going on at the top. We just reaping the effects of what's going on. Like we're not even at a full blown war like how it was in Iraq. And you mean to tell me stuff is like how we was in a recession right now? Like
I know
that's crazy. But,
yeah, and that's when I say like we gotta have black privilege.
Yeah,
that's when we gotta like understand like the voting and who's in the office. We act like that shit don't affect us. That shit affect us. You know, we got to start getting involved and being a citizen in this country.
We got to get a seat at the table too.
Yeah,
that's the most important thing. Our own party.
We don't like the way the shit's taught at schools. The board of education is a voted seat. You know what I'm saying? Like we're not participating in that shit. We're really not. We're letting them make.
You got to start infiltrating their system, basically.
Dude,
you know?
and unfortunately in this country.
Matter of fact,
we have to do all that, especially if we want to be a part of this system. We gotta goddamn kind of get in there. You know?
Exactly.
Gotta basically break the door down.
Right.
But while we saying that too, let me shout out a sponsor real quick. Our black-owned cryptocurrency BOAMEDCB, our 40 acres in the mule. Since we're just having this discussion, man, you know, black-owned cryptocurrency, you know, so get our economics right. You know, we spend 1.6 trillion a year. So it's like, so with all that money we spend, they're saying maybe in the economics of retail and all that stuff, like we got enough money. We got enough money to really make a change out here. We just got to be more wise about it. But make sure y'all check it out. BOAMEDCB on Instagram.
All right, that's dope. I didn't even know we had a black on. I'm gonna have to look them up because I got some.
Yeah, come join the team. Yeah, man. They create our own reparations out this bitch. Instead of sitting back asking for it, waiting for the white man to give to us. Just think about it. If they give us reparations, they can take that motherfucker bite.
Oh, for sure.
Think about it.
Type of clause or contract, but we just gotta we just gotta start our own thing, and digital currency is the future now. So it's definitely coming. They putting chips in everything and all that. They're getting ready to, you know. But man, what do you manifest for yourself before 2023 is over? That's another part of our show. Like, what do you speak in existence already that you claim for yourself?
Man, as much as I try to act, as much as I talked about doing,
that's another part.
Yeah, as much as I say, like I've been talking about not making it about money. This year it's about that money, man. I gotta get it, man. I'm sorry.
That money, man.
I am on the I gotta get it. Oh man, like my daughter's about to go to college. That is my focus, man. I do not want her to have a plan B in life. She wants to go to a HBCU and I'm out of Georgia, so no hope money. So I'm getting that bag. And then it's also like it's me. I never talked about that like out loud, especially as a creative, but uh I really understand my worth and the value of what I'm doing. So like it's like you gotta get it at some point because otherwise the shit that we talking is bullshit. So like
Yeah,
I really understand. I put in a lot of work. I've done this. I'm doing good work. I'm doing community stuff. I'm creating some dope art. I got to get that money, man. Like
yeah,
otherwise I'm playing myself.
yeah,
So like that is part of the mission. But other than that, I just want to create the best art that I'm doing. I want to get more personal with the work. Actually the paintings I'm doing now is kind of about Black fatherhood.
yeah.
But
That's dope. That's really because
Real
how they
dope.
doing Black fathers and the masculinity is man,
mhm.
it's crazy. So we
Yeah,
need that right now.
so I'm doing that because that's important to me and that's what I'm focusing on. Uh, Personally, like I'm like there's some like I said, I'm kind of changing. Not all those changes are for the best, but I'm definitely starting to live, going after what I want a whole lot more. And like I said, sometimes that makes some other people not as happy, and that's kind of what I'm dealing with right now. Is kind of going after what I want to go after.
Right.
Uh, Being honestly, like I'm being selfish right now. I can't even front, but sometimes that's part of it, unfortunately. But I'm trying to get what I want out of life right now. And it is about the work. I want to keep providing. I want to have some curator opportunities at the gallery before this year is up, so I can add more curators to the topic and create a platform for that. I want to keep inspiring as many artists as possible. But yeah, I'm excited about the work I'm creating. I want to create the best work, and I want to earn. I want to get the money that I think I deserve, man. And like I feel like I was just having a conversation with my boy the other day. I was like, I made some money throughout my life and whatever, and I've done some good stuff. And I had some decent jobs, but I was telling him like I feel like I'm too talented and I've been working too hard to not even never have 100 grand stacked. I'm sorry, like that's not a lot of money, honestly, in the grand scheme of things. But I've never had that like at one time, and I feel like it's past due.
Yeah.
So,
Nah, you deserve
like,
it, brother. For
that's what I'm
real.
saying.
Definitely.
The more that I can do, the more I can afford opportunities for other people, and the
Yeah.
more. Also, I want to start to personally. I want to stop trying to control a lot of aspects of the gallery and what I'm doing because I do a lot of things on my own. I need to personally. I want to start letting go and let other people
Get
shine
a
and other
team. Yeah.
things. Yeah, because I can't do everything on my own. Like
Yeah.
I'm realizing it's stunting my growth, but it's a personal thing for me to
Yeah.
start to let go. So that's a personal goal of mine is to just go let my hand off the wheel for a little bit. Uh, so those are some of the things that I'm looking forward to this year. But and it's definitely centered around, I'm an art nerd. It's centered around creating art.
Yeah.
It's around making some money, and that
Hmm.
money specifically, really, so I can make sure my daughter gets her. I already got a college fund going, but I don't want no surprises. I want to have more
Yeah.
money than what's projected. She might get full scholarship, and that's great. But I'm still preparing. I don't want to. I don't want to be looking at her sad face like at all. Like, uh, so that's driving me financially. More love, man. I ain't go from more sex, like all of that, man. I just want an abundance.
Yeah. Nah, you gotta claim everything, man, for real. Cause when you speak in existence, that's what's gonna come to you.
Yeah,
That's how it look. Man, we
want all
spoke
that.
this. What's crazy, we spoke this podcast. We did it off I had an idea. Like, it's more than just like we give people their flowers and stuff, but we also inform and enlighten
Yup,
and
yup.
inspire people too by giving information on what's going on,
Mm,
that people might be too into social media, looking at other things when it's like, okay, let's
Yeah.
tell you about breaking event, a current event, like what's going on in the economy and how, or educating people about our history as well.
mm,
School give out that stuff, but we giving you, hey, look at the receipts, look at
yeah,
the National Archives. We going that far with it, but
yeah, yeah,
I
for
was
sure.
just like, and then my partner too, he also with the spiritual journey, with the chakras, being
Mhm,
more in tune with yourself. Like
mhm,
we put all that incorporated into our show. So I said, hey, we just really was like, you know, it was the progress. We started seeing more progress with it and kept going up from there. We started last year, a year in.
Yeah.
100 guests right now. We started getting booked up from like 6 months in advance. We do it every Saturday. I started taking like Sunday shows, like just to get people to not wait. Like, nah, it's definitely I definitely feel that, man. Like that's the biggest manifestation. Like just, you know, like I say, doing it, not just saying like, all right,
Staying
this is gonna
consistent.
happen. We just sitting back, like,
yeah, man, stay consistent in what you do.
Yeah, and also like the things that I just said, like it wasn't determined on nobody else. Like it wasn't based off I want to get into there or I want like it's nobody else validation. You know what I'm saying? Like there's other organization things that I want to do, of course, but that's not my bar and that's not my validation. I really feel like you're talking about the black hip cryptocurrency and everything. Like we got everything we need within our own community.
Right.
Like literally been sustained by black people. Like since I quit my job and I get white art patrons and this, that, and the third.
Yeah.
But I had literally been sustained by our own community. I have not had to. I can get leg ups and all of that, and I want to be in everything. And any artist that says they don't want to be in these other institutions is really a lie. Yeah, you want to be accepted in the overall world, but I do understand that that's not going to validate anything of what I'm doing. Like we are enough.
Most definitely, man. So any upcoming events from Future Gallery? I also see the Hundo famous $100 group art exhibit. Is that like how often is that? Because I definitely got to come out and support that.
I don't do it too often. This is that I collaborate with Artlanta on because they started the Hundo first, and I started for them and with them. So we got Hundo on right now. Actually, the closing reception is today.
Right.
So I do it to encourage art collectors to kind of start their collections, and also as an artist, for me, it's kind of like a give back type of thing because I even have art in Hundo that's worth a lot more than $100, but it's kind of a way of giving back and having people be able to collect my work as well. But it's a good way for emerging artists to get their work seen by collectors and build relationships with people. So it's overall like a celebration. Like I look at Hundo as like a celebration. And also like I'm also always trying to break down the barriers that a misconception that we got in our community that you got to be rich to collect original art. That's totally like there might be a lot of artists out of your price range, but there's a ton of artists that is in your price range.
Right.
If you want to collect art, you can do it. And the Hundo show kind of proves that.
Right.
But yeah, I don't do it too often because at the same time, it kind of does mess up my market. Like I'm not in $100 art market that you can't really make a career out of that. So that's why I make it like a special occasion.
Right.
But Artlanta might do it more often. But as far as me, I do it probably like once every 3 years, once every 2 or 3 years. And but it is a good time. It's a good celebration. I sold probably about over 50 pieces already, and we'll probably we'll sell some more tonight. And it's still some great work left. But yeah, it's a good show, and it's a real feel good type of energy. And $100, it's still $100. You know what I'm saying? Like that. That's the thing about it. Like you can't really turn your nose down to no money. That's why I tell artists, I was like, still take themselves serious. Like $100 is still $100. You know, like stop playing.
Does anybody ever try to hit you up, like trying to inquire you to like paint them something personally?
Oh, commissions, yeah, all the time, yeah. And I don't do them too often, but yeah, my commissions start at 10,000. Like that's what it takes now, and a lot of people they don't want to pay that. So it's kind of my way of saying I don't really do it, but I will.
Yeah.
But
not for real. Price is up, man.
My own ideas now. Like I've done commissions, and I'm not saying that I won't do it again.
Right.
It was that thing about I want to make my money how I want to make my money type of comment. And it's not. You know what I'm saying? It's like, nah, I got my own ideas I want to paint. But
definitely.
But if the money's right, yeah, we can talk.
So like, is there any upcoming shows? Because like I definitely before I reached out, I was already, I think at the time when I reached out, I think it was something going on at the Trap Museum at the time. And I was like, I looked at the art, I was like, nah, definitely got to bring brother on, man. But I didn't know. I just was reaching out, like, when I seen you hit back, I was like, oh yeah, we gotta do it, man. We gotta do it. We definitely, like I said, it's definitely an honor to have you on here, man.
Thank you.
So,
real, bro.
Likewise.
Man, so yeah, any future like shows like coming
well,
up?
The next show I got coming up is the FDA freshman class show.
Okay.
Show where it's emerging artists that been grinding for a while, but been getting a lot of no's. It's like for artists that have been putting in the work, but been kind of getting overlooked, and put a spotlight on them and make them a part of this freshman class. We got 22 artists in that, and that's April 7th.
April 7th.
And it's all, and that's what it's about. It's about championing them, putting them on, getting them some connections, and also just building confidence. That's a big part of any type of creative. Self-doubt is your biggest, opposite. It's the biggest opposite, self-doubt. So, it's kind of just, even if all they get encouragement, that's important. So that's what that show's about. And then, crazy enough, in May, the next show is a group of artists that were from the freshman class of 2022. And they're doing exactly, their career has increased, and they're actually coming back and self-curating the show on their own, which I love. So those are the next two things on the radar. And honestly, I haven't been doing my calendar out as far as I usually do, because I've been less focused on curation and focused on painting myself.
Right.
So those are honestly the two shows that I got coming up. But I'll come up with something else in the summer. I might do Dead Ringer again. I haven't decided. But yeah, I'm definitely focused on making artwork for sure.
Nah, most definitely, brother. I definitely gotta come check out your work in person. Like I said, as an artist, I enjoy like seeing art in general. It just, instead of, like I said, I look at it like listening to an instrumental. Like, I like observing the actual visual perspective. Like, and especially like you say, being black on, our people so big on the heavy supporting that too. So any shout outs or recognition you would like to give to those that been in your corner?
I mean, my family is definitely the biggest thing that I can do. Danielle and my daughter, my friends and people in my life currently are super important to me. Any art collector that's ever purchased any work, like they are the VIPs, like I need people to purchase art. I mean, I can't say that enough. Like, some people really come up in here and drop a lot of money on work, so I'm definitely thankful for that. But even the people who buy shirts, who bought drinks, it all goes to sustaining this gallery. So all my patrons, I definitely give a shout out. I mean, I give a shout out to Maya Bailey, who kind of encouraged me early on and gave me opportunities. Tyree Smith, Underground, for inviting me here. Shout out to Trap Music Museum. These are Maker's Mark, all the people who really like put a little shot of adrenaline into what I'm doing. And then anyone who's ever even attended shows, like, you can't take none of that for granted. I appreciate you guys for giving me this outlet.
Definitely.
And I definitely, a sentiment of thankfulness is important, because like you said, sometimes it goes unnoticed, but that little gratitude goes a long way. So I'm definitely thankful, because I'm just nothing without that. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you can do the best painting, but if you ain't got nobody to stand in front of and view it, the painting is dead. Like, the art comes alive when the viewer is in front of it. Yeah. So all of them are important. And just overall, thank you, and those people that I shouted out specifically, for sure.
Nah, we definitely appreciate you. And you said your gallery is located at the Underground right now, as of now. Yep. So like, what days is it open, and like, what's the times?
I mean, I'll be on them artist hours, so I kind of be, like, I'm open during exhibits, and then I'm usually open Tuesday through Saturday, 3 to 7. And I'm usually here, but it may not look like I'm here. I have a bell on the door. Just ring the bell, because my studio's in the back. A lot of times I'm in there painting, so it kind of not here. But definitely appointments are recommended, or just hit me up and either DM or email. My info is pretty accessible out there on social. But you can't come during regular hours. Just make sure you ring the bell. But definitely come to opening receptions. That's the best time to really get that feel of the Black art community, is when the space is really alive. And first Fridays at Underground, we do first Fridays every month. That's definitely a good time to come. It's usually from 8 to like 2 a.m. Yeah, first Fridays is the vibe here at Underground for sure. And that's every first Friday of the month.
My boy got kicked out, man. They always be messing with us, man.
Yeah, I see.
But I mean, look, man, before we even let you get out of here, man, I mean, what does it mean to you when you hear the word underdog, man?
I mean, like, underdog is it's the person that you just really can't count out. Like, they may not be at the forefront. They not the odds bet on favorite, but it's somebody that you can't count out. And even like a bet, talking about odds favorite, the biggest payout is always on the slimmest odds. You know what I'm saying? So that underdog always, you can't overlook, because that's gonna be your best bet in the long run.
Nah, most definitely, brother. Like I say, we definitely appreciate you coming on, man. This was another one like DJ Khaled, man. You dropped
My pleasure.
It was like mixtapes, but definitely, bro, sincerely, bro, keep doing what you're doing, keep being yourself, keep going up all year. And I'm definitely gonna have to DM you and come check it out, man, on one of these.
Yeah, no doubt.
Definitely want to come in.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thanks so much for having me on, and I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, man, we appreciate it, man. This was season 3, episode 22, Above and Beyond, featuring Eugene, Byrd, Art, man, out here in Atlanta, Georgia. So make sure you go check them out. Make sure you follow the Instagram and just support the Black man and the Black artist, man.
Yeah.
All right, thank you guys. Thanks so much, man. I appreciate it.
Most definitely, man.
All right, peace out.
All right.
I say.
All right.
What'd you say, brother? I didn't hear you.
Nah, I was just saying, Pete.
Oh, yeah. Right. We out here. Appreciate it.
All right, peace.
Gold mouth, rabbit on my teeth, I got carrots. Open up her mouth and she got vocals sound like Janet. Marble on the floors, but the kitchen kinda granite. Lean color perk, you would think it's pomegranate. I see flying saucers finna roll another planet. It will fall in place if it's meant to be organic. I got crazy lingo, you would think I'm speaking Spanish. I'm something like a pie, never leave without the cannon. I'm enlightened. Check, I got stones around my neck. If you pay attention, I teach her how to earn respect. I walk around with a tag like I'm mad at the rail. People do any damn thing for a check. So what if you got signed labels, throw them on the shelf? I don't ask for help, I just go within myself. Hard times I prevail, I bust up out my shell. I let my nuts hang, cause it don't got no curfew. Gold mouth, rabbit on my teeth, I got carrots. Open up a mouth and she got vocals sound like Janet. Marble on the floors, but the kitchen kinda